Hi guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Craftin' Up a Storm. This leg of the Thrift Flip road trip brings you to Southern California, and I've got 5 really great and easy projects for you. Let's get crafting. I found this really cute tin inside a wire basket. I picked it up at the secondhand store for $3.59. I like it. It's got character, but I'm going to add to it by decoupaging this tin. I started by painting the background, the back of it, well, the outside of it, white with white chalk paint. I want to have a nice, solid, light colored base to start out with because the napkin I'm going to use to decoupage with has a white background. I made sure to take the second layer off my napkin and I'm going to use it. I love this blue and white cottage French look. Instead of trying to put the whole napkin on my tin, I'm going to take out some of the flowers. And I'm going to do that by taking a wet paintbrush and tearing it away. The reason I want pieces is because they're going to lay flatter against this curved bucket. I have a little more control over it. And the reason I want to tear the edges rather than cut them is so that they blend into the background better. So I put some Mod Podge down and I'm laying down my floral piece. I have a little bit of control as to whether I want it very full, sparse, however I want to do it. It actually looks cute with just this flower on the front of it, but I'm going to fill it up. I kind of worked in small areas to be able to have my Mod Podge stay wet so everything would stick. And even though this is easier and I won't have as many wrinkles or creases, I'm not super worried about it. You can see here one napkin went over the top of another in a piece. Because it's a white background, it blended in really well. But I'm going to put this back inside the wire basket so you're not going to see any tiny little imperfections. It's not going to be a big deal. I filled in some of the spaces with smaller pieces, and once everything was dry, I filed away the excess around the edges. And that was all I did for this project, just to add a little extra something to this tin. And there it is back inside the basket. I love what this added to this piece. Let me know what you guys think. This next project, I found this little beehive cage. I don't think it's very old. It may even be available at whatever original store it was at still. I think I picked it up at the secondhand store for like 99 cents, but it was in really good condition. I liked the shape of it, but I wanted to make some changes. And I started by pulling off all the little beads, the bees, not beads. And you can tell it took a while to rock back and forth and get it to release. Now I'm going to cover it with twine. I cut off a very long piece to work with, and I started doing the wrapping so you can see kind of what the process was. I went over the top of the spine and then tucked the twine back underneath the same spine. So over and then under, but between the two strings. This gave me a twist around the spine that kept all this twine in place. Again, over the spine, back under, but in between. I did this the same way all around, and it kept these very uniform. I would push it down with a finger and make sure it was nice and tight. You can see I'm holding the last one with the finger of my left hand as I'm working on this one. And that helped everything stay in place. Over, back underneath, and in between. I'm not gonna lie, this took some time. I put on a show and just watched it as I wrapped twine for a while. Last time, over, under, but in between. As I got to the middle, I thought about leaving it and starting a new piece, which you could do. Because I needed to have a new piece earlier, I tucked the tail in the back and put a little glue on it and then started a new piece by gluing it down. I thought about leaving it two separate pieces so you could open it, but in the end, I just decided I didn't want to open it. I didn't have any need to. So I went as far up as I could on the body of it and then up to the top. For the very tip top of it, I just put a little glue around and kept twisting around my twine till it covered that whole metal black piece. I left the loop at the very top of it. Now to redo my bees, which they're super cute, but I didn't care for the bronze color. I put down some tape loops to hold them in place, and I went in with some gunmetal gray metallic acrylic paint. I just put a daub on each of them, and I wanted them a little bit darker. There's so many options that you can do. You can make them just a solid yellow so they're nice and bright, but I still wanted the metallic, but I wanted more of a silver darker color. Then I wanted to add a little pop to them, and I got my yellow chalk paint out and pounced on a little bit of yellow color. I glued these back down to the beehive, and this is how it came out. I thought it came out kind of cute. Be perfect for a tiered tray or a little vignette. Let me know what you guys think of this one. This video is part of the Thrift Flip Road Trip Open Challenge, hosted every other month by Sami at Unicorn Dust Designs and Kay and Trish at Crafting Cousins. This month's guest host is C at CJ DIY. You have to check out their channels. They are fabulous, each and every one of them. And every other month, you can join us on our road trip, click on the playlist, and get a ton of thrift flip ideas.
We are thrilled to announce that this month's playlist will have a special giveaway with 5 lucky winners. Prizes include a deluxe easy bow maker from Buckeye Girls Lifestyle, a craft tool kit from Lady Red Crafting, a mystery box with crafting supplies from DIY Next Door, and 2 wood craft kits from Crafting Cousins. To enter, just watch the July Thrift Flip Road Trip playlist and comment your favorite project from each creator on their video. You must comment on every video to be eligible. Mark your calendar for July 27th when we will announce the winners on our community tabs. I'm sorry, due to shipping costs, giveaway is open to U.S. residents only. Don't miss out on this chance to win, and be sure to spread the love by following the playlist link in the description box below.
This one was my favorite. I found this really great rooster, I think a recipe holder or picture holder. It was mainly MDF, but it had this veneer on the front of it that was wood. It was $3.59, $3.69 at the secondhand store. The first thing I started to do was remove this wire recipe holder from the top. Took off the 2 tiny little screws. They were holding it in there a little more tight than I thought. Took me a minute. The main thing I wanted with this was to keep this really great, almost reclaimed wood look to the front of it. It had holes, it had creases. It was wonderful. However, I didn't want this red paint and rise and shine. I started with this acetone. I got a lot of it off. And then I used an emery board to get as much of as I could. It's red. Red paint's not going to go anywhere, so I decided not to fight it. I'm going to stain it. I'm going to use some acrylic paint, and I'm just going to stain it. There's 4 sections, so I picked out 4 acrylic paint colors that all kind of complemented each other. And I'm going to stain each section and make this really colorful. See how they all kind of go together. The first one is Americana Blue Harbor. The next one is also Americana, and it's Mulberry. This is Americana Santa Red. And the last one's Anita's Ripe Apricot, I believe. And there's 4 sections. I'm going to use those 4 colors. I watered down the paint so that it was more like a stain, and I wanted to even out this red section. So I started with the red, and I covered that entire section. And you'll notice, here's the blue. Again, I watered it down so it looked more like a stain than a paint on it. And I chose the ripe apricot to be next to the red so that any of the red that was on it, same for this side with the mulberry, that it would blend in. So I chose colors that would still make an orange with the red underneath it. And you couldn't even tell it had red underneath. And there's my colorful rooster on the front. For the back, I still had a really great canvas. So I wanted to be able to do something on the back. It is kind of plain because it's just the MDF, but I decided to go ahead and decoupage. Now, I covered it with Mod Podge and let it dry, but I didn't paint it first. And that's one thing I wish I had done, was go ahead and paint it white. I think it would have made these flowers stand out much better on this side. But I let the Mod Podge dry, and then I went over it with my heat press to press that down. It's easy process once it's on a flat surface. I filed away most of the edges, but for around the tail where it went in really deep, it was hard to get into, so the fire method just ended up being easier. I still like the way it turned out. A little more rustic than I was thinking of, but it really came out kind of cool. And now I can flip it around and have either side showing. There's my colorful side that I like the best, and then there's the floral side. You let me know what you guys think of this and which side you like better. For this project, I had this little tri-frame forever. It was $3.99 at the store, and I know I got it at half price, so basically $2. I only had glass in 2 of the frames, and so I took all the little glass and back of the frames off, and I wanted to change this texture and color on these frames. I started by painting this back of it a solid truffle craft paint, and now I'm going in with an acrylic. I can't remember. It's just a lighter brown. I can't remember what it is. I didn't show it to the camera, so I can't remember. But I also added some sand, just some sand I got at the Dollar Tree, to this paint to add some texture. I want it to kind of have a rusty look. That's kind of what I'm going with. Stick with me though, because there's a lot of layers to this and going back and forth until you kind of get it where you want it. I'm going to add a little orange because most like rusted metal has maybe a little orange tint to it. So I went in with some orange acrylic paint, but still with that same brown, and I kind of brushed that on. Now I have a little bit of blue. This is more of a dye or a patina. And I went in still with some of that brown paint. It came out more green, which I was okay with, but to add kind of that patina to it. Now, because this sand didn't want to stick to this slick frame very, very well, I wanted to make sure I didn't lose my texture over time. So I went over all of it with Mod Podge. However, I didn't have any matte Mod Podge. So now it's pretty shiny. And I don't want shiny. So I'm going to go back over the top of it with that truffle. This is going to darken it up again, but I'm dry brushing it very sparsely and just stippling it on this frame. That's going to allow a lot of my background colors to still show through and still give it that wonderful texture. So I went around all of them again with this truffle dry brush. And now I'm going to add a little bit of gold to make it look like at one time it might have been a metal frame. I didn't have a lot of gold left, but it just doesn't take a lot. I'm not wanting to make this metallic. I went in with my scraper and got just a little bit, and that was good enough for me. I'm going to again take a very dry brush and stipple that on into different areas. Now, I went into the corners, and in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have gone into corners because I think corners would wear off the most. So I probably should have gone more toward the middle of the frames, but this is what I chose, and I was okay with the outcome. It still looked pretty good to me. But in hindsight, that's probably where it's going to wear off the first or the most is corner areas. Now that I had these frames kind of looking very old and rusted, I wanted to make them interesting as well. Since I didn't have a background for each of them, I decided that I would add a little of this chicken wire to the back of it. I only had pieces, and I was okay with nothing being solid behind it. You can't really tell once I'm done, and I'll show you the process. I laid a piece of the chicken wire down, put a line of glue on it, and then I came in with a popsicle stick. That sandwiched the wire in between the stick and the frame, and that helped glue it down. In order to clean up the back of this frame, if you want, once you're done with all of these, you can go back and paint the back of it, and it will make the back of the project look a little better. I know a lot of people like having it look good from all angles. I have my chicken wire in, and I decided I wanted to add flowers to it. So I had these Dollar Tree flowers, but they were a little plain. I used to the big white ones, I used the small little button ones and glued that in the middle so that they had a little something extra to them. And then I took the flower and just tacked it on with hot glue to the chicken wire in the back. So you don't really even see most of the chicken wire. And I did that with 3 of the white flowers. I thought it came out cute. It's something you can change the flowers for different seasons, different holidays, but it adds a little something to use in a vignette. What do you guys think of this one? This last project was the easiest. I found this wooden candle holder for, I believe it was $3.59 at the secondhand store. And then I found this black tray with kind of a fancy edge to it. and it was $3.99. I believe some of them were on half price when I did buy them. But even at this price point, pretty easy. I cleaned up both of the items, took the label off, and gave them a good scrub. Now, this wooden candle holder has some gold like paint around it to make it look distressed, but I want to add a little more to it. I like things to kind of look vintage and distressed. I just took my emery board, and in the small places I took some sandpaper, and I just went around and sanded a lot of this away, made sure the edges really came out, scuffed everything up. This is about all I had to do with this whole entire project. This was the only thing that took some time. Now I'm just going to glue this, and I went ahead and just used hot glue. That way I could maybe take it off down the road and change it out for something different. But I just used hot glue around the edge of this candle holder and glued it on. You can see this tray has some, I think, 3 or 4 little round feet on it. It made it easy to be able to center this, put it on there, glued it to the bottom, and now I have a cute little riser. You can still put a candle in it. You can put a little vignette in it. You can put candy in it, desserts. I love making risers. Let me know what you guys think of this one. Here's a last look at all of the projects. Let me know in the comments which one you enjoyed the most and which one you would try and remake if you found something like that in your local thrift store. Thank you all for watching today's video. I sure love making these wonderful crafts for you. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I'd love to add you to my crafty family. Have a great day.